Prioritization requires saying no or not yet, cutting certain things out. And it is hard. This part is hard. And many of the CEOs we work with, and even Anna and my fractional director of operations client, they've told me how good it feels just to have somebody say, like, tell me my 3 things to do today.
Overwhelm, reaction mode, and just keeping up are the old way.
You need real, root-level strategies and practical steps to grow your business or ministry without exhaustion and burnout.
Hi there, we're Anna Saucier
And Megan Gephardt,
best friends and business consultants who help faith-filled women create sustainable growth through simple strategy with a people-first approach.
Here at Apostolic Fruit, we hope to offer you clarity, support, accompaniment, and healing,
one tiny step at a time.
Hello, my friend, Megan Gephardt here. So, time for some real talk and some tough love today. We're going to go through the 4 planning pitfalls that make you wing it and how to fix them. Because in all honesty, January probably either started off super strong or maybe you entered it already feeling behind. For those who may have been eager to hit the ground running, you crushed it with your planning. You had color-coded spreadsheets and calendars, a big vision, you got your goals written out, all the faith in the world. But now as we get to the end of February, get into March, it's starting to feel harder, right? Life's been life. It's been happening. You've got a lot going on. You may find yourself reverting back to what you were doing before. Even if you did plan beautifully, it is real hard to stay on track. So you're probably somewhere in between, what was my plan again? And I cannot keep up with what I said anyway, so I guess I'll just wing it and see what happens. Any of that sound familiar? No shame if so. This is what we see time and time and time again. Completely get it. If you're feeling stuck at all or you're not sure where to focus, you're wearing a million hats and you're just overwhelmed by the avalanche of work that's in front of you, juggling a million things at once and feeling a little bit like you're drowning. If you're feeling like, okay, everything is quite disorganized, I really need to streamline and to create some systems and structure here. You've got the fire, you've got the vision, you've got the huge dreams, but the daily grind and the details of how to get everything done and bring all those aspirations into reality, it's getting blurred. The path is getting blurred and you're just stuck in those weeds. If you feel any of this, it is not your fault. Nobody's probably taught you how to do real, good, solid planning that accounts for your real capacity, meaning the time and energy you actually have to give and accounts for the margins you need for real life. And so I want to show you a little bit different way to approach planning. And I want to walk you through the biggest mistakes that we see time and time again and what we can do differently. Because the reality is the front end of your business, all those parts of the business that your clients, your customers see and interact with, that probably looks pretty good. It's successful. You're making money. You are serving in really beautiful, important ways. But maybe the back end could use a little bit of an overhaul. You don't really have systems. They may be non-existent or you just need a revamp. That's where the behind the scenes magic is that keeps everything running smoothly and you're feeling like it's a little bit chaotic. You spend a lot of time at those front-facing parts of your business and you're crushing it in those ways. But it's hard when the backside feels a little bit messier than you'd like, right? And you're just trying to keep up with all the things. And maybe you're just figuring it out as you go and you feel a little bit lost in the sauce in that. So we're here to help. And I completely get it because when you first get started, you were just piecing everything together as you went along. And it's been more heart than structure. But now that you've been successful, you've experienced that initial level of success and you want to keep growing and scaling this thing, it's time to take a step back and optimize. Because you're constantly juggling those tasks without a clear plan. You work nonstop, but have no idea where your time ends up going. You crave that accountability and guidance. You're ready to scale, but you don't quite know how. You're tired of feeling that overwhelm and not seeing a clear path forward. So let's help the back end of your business look and feel as good as the front end. All right, you ready? Let's dive in. So number 1, first mistake that you make when it comes to planning is you are running away with all the ideas immediately without really considering, does it actually move the needle forward? You are jumping from, okay, I've got the idea. I've got this great new idea for a project or a piece of content or a new course or a new webinar or a new workshop, a new something. And you just start running with it immediately. We want to take that step back and ask those critical questions. Is this an income-producing activity? Does this support or does this conflict with my vision and the real priorities of this quarter, of this month? The very real income, revenue, cash flow needs of my business. And I know this sounds obvious, but I can tell you time and time and time again, working with brilliant clients, this is why it helps to have somebody else's strategic eye on your business. Because I have redirected clients multiple times who are going right into a launch period and are wanting to do another idea and get something else out there into the world that has nothing to do with preparing their audience for that launch that's coming up, which is their core offer that they want to be constantly inviting people into, right? So we see the disconnect there. And that's just one example, but I see this so many times over again. We end up putting a lot of energy in directions that don't actually really move the ball forward. In some ways, I think what happens here is that, especially for visionaries, those who have this beautiful gift of coming up with innovative new ideas and wanting to run with them right away, and who are motivated and fueled by that, I don't want to ever stifle that creative energy. That's not what this is about. But the important thing to recognize is that sometimes this actually can be a form of buffering, of almost productive procrastination that distracts and conflicts with the progress you really want to make in your business and your real priorities of increasing this breathing room that you want in income, in clients. And it's much easier in some ways to create new content than it is to do certain kinds of income-producing activities that may feel a little bit more uncomfortable or stretchy or take courageous action, especially if it feels like there's a little bit more discomfort around selling, or you feel uncomfortable in money conversations, or even those kinds of things can end up taking a backseat to stuff that just feels more fun and easy and life-giving, right? So we want to make sure we have that foundational discipline to not get carried away with the shiny objects or the fun new thing at the expense of what will actually move the ball forward in our business. So planning ought to give both freedom and excitement and hope and clarity and direction, but it also should give peace and be boundaried. Sometimes we're rebellious, and I see this so many times with leaders and visionaries. We just want to do what we want to do when we want to do it. And I so get that. And I want you to be able to do the exciting and fun work in your business and really free up your time and space to do those things that light you up the most. But until we get to a point where we have more flowing in foundationally, we have to develop this discipline of coming up with a new idea and taking that step back instead of actioning it immediately. I want you to make sure that it actually is going to support your goals. So you've got to be strategic about which projects, which ideas you implement, and which you may set aside for another season or a little bit later, right? Okay, so that's number one, is just running away with the brilliant ideas immediately without considering whether it's actually going to move the ball forward and whether it's aligned with your most important priorities in the season. Number two, your planning consists of a 1,000-mile long to-do list without any real prioritization. So I've heard this a number of times over. I hate just doing strategy and planning sessions because all I feel like I walk away with is a longer to-do list, just more to hold and more to do. And so if that's what you feel like, I want to say you're not doing the next step of planning, which really is real prioritization. Prioritization requires saying no or not yet, cutting certain things out. And it is hard. This part is hard. And many of the CEOs we work with, and even Anna and my fractional director of operations client, they've told me how good it feels just to have somebody say, like, tell me my 3 things to do today. Or just to have somebody to help hold that big picture of the business with you and be your strategic partner and kind of be your right-hand wing woman, and just to say, like, place in front of me, this is what you need to focus on today. Like, this is what ought to be prioritized. This is the most important thing right now. because there's so much decision fatigue in being a business owner. We spend so much time and energy trying to figure out what the heck do I even spend my limited time on today? And many of us we're wearing a million hats, and we're also managing the mental load of motherhood and all of these other pieces with it, right? And this is not something we want to consume our whole entire life. And so we've got limited time and energy. And so your planning needs to give you clarity on what your focus actually is and ought to be. It needs to be an action-based roadmap, but with clear priorities and initiatives, and also clear boundaries of this is what I'm not going to do this month. This is what I'm deciding I am going to say no to for right now. Because otherwise it will keep feeling like you're on this treadmill, just moving way too fast to even keep up with and maintain, but you're not really actually getting anywhere. So that ties in with number 3. The third mistake we tend to see is that you're running in way too many directions at once. It is so easy as business owners today to get our attention pulled in way too many different directions because we become spread thin and you have this chaotic, messy behind the scenes feeling that none of us like. And if you feel like you're never really making much progress on your projects, or you do deep work on your projects, but then you're not seeing actual results in your business in terms of clients and revenue, and it's still unsustainable, then I see you. And what I want to say here is that it is better to run one ball down the field for a touchdown than running a few yards here and there with a bunch of different balls. And it gets so frustrating and agonizing because you're never really feeling like you're making substantive progress then, right? So especially in today's environment where we're constantly bombarded with new things and marketing coming in every different direction of this one thing that you need to solve all your business problems, right? It is so easy to get distracted and to try a bunch of different tactics, hoping that one thing, is going to catapult your business to success with one big move or one hole that you plug, right? And we've absolutely seen with some clients, there are very strategic shifts that we can make where there was a significant leak in time, energy, money. But here's what we know. Sustainable growth does not happen in an instant. And it's not like pressing that magic button where all of a sudden your profits, your client base, your impact are all going to skyrocket overnight. And so the best thing you can do instead is to simplify and streamline. And this can help you reduce all the unnecessary complexity. In every single business we are working with, we are seeing this. And it's not your fault because you've probably been told to do all of these things. You should show up here and there and this other place. You should have a blog. You should email your list at least one time a week. You should post on social media every single day. You should pop on stories multiple times a day and share all the behind the scenes of your life. You should optimize SEO on your website. You should repurpose everything you have into all of these other places. You should have a podcast. You should do webinars. You should guest on this platform. And it goes on and on and on. No wonder we feel like we're running on this hamster wheel, or like we're running around like a chicken with our head cut off, right? Or like our business is running us. So take that step back. Look at what is absolutely essential. What is core to my income? What is core for my offers that really move the needle forward in my business and will give me more breathing room? What is the piece that I want to deliver that I am the best at serving in, where my unique genius comes? And let's hone in on that. Let's develop a evergreen system that helps flow more people that you want to serve into that, rather than doing a million things all over the place and distracting yourself, distracting your audience, and also diluting your attention and focus and your ability to actually get results with what you're focusing on. Okay, so the last one, number 4, the last mistake that we see time and time again is you don't have any systems, rhythms, processes. It is all heart and no structure, and that is not cutting it anymore. When we don't have the structure of rhythms, of these different processes and ways of operating that keep us accountable to what's important, then confusion, the decision fatigue, the exhaustion reigns, and we're trying to just keep up with everything like we've talked about. You need the planning and accountability structures to guide your decision-making as well as your capacity and your focus. And this is where the rhythms really are important, because it helps us take those things that we want to actually prioritize, instead of just trying to squeeze them into the cracks of everything else or waiting to try to find the time to do them. We build it in proactively to protect that time ahead. So this does several different things. The impact of this is it reduces the decision fatigue. It reduces all that energy and that stuck feeling like I don't ever have enough time for all the things that actually make the progress I want to make in my business. It prevents us from doing the important things only when we feel like it, or just reacting to what comes, or just what's right in front of me and allowing that to then dictate what I do that day or that week. So it's a matter of planning well, like we've been talking about with addressing some of these mistakes, but it's also a matter of building in rhythms of evaluation and planning. This is real strategy, where the actual feedback loop is being closed. Because otherwise what happens is when we're making plans, they're not data-driven. We don't actually have real visibility of what's working and what's not. We talked about in the first episode having this experimental mindset and looking in this playful way at our business is like what's working and what's not. It's an experiment, and I get to learn from every piece of it with feedback from my people, from my audience, from those that I'm delivering this service to. This is one of the risks that a plan sometimes comes with. We don't want just a one-time plan that we either can't keep up with or we just forget about and we just toss out the window because we realize it's not really going to work for us, or we fizzle out when it doesn't seem to be getting the results. But we want that rhythm because it directly offsets those risks. It protects time and space on your calendar and your team's calendar for both the assessment and the planning, and then you can give guidance accordingly. Cascading communication can come from these rhythms of planning. So this builds in a really important level of spaciousness and proactivity into our business because it forces us to give a certain amount, like a time horizon and a window between planning and execution. One of the biggest things we want to do if we feel like we need more breathing room inside of our business and both time, energy, money, clients, all those things, is to extend the time between planning and implementation. If you have a launch model, let's just say, how much real time and space are you giving yourself to put together the marketing assets that go into that launch? Do you feel like every single time you're launching, you're like cramming last minute all these things in and it's so intense and stressful? What kind of an energy space do you want to be in when you're inviting people into your beautiful container that you want to serve them in? That's what you want to do during the launch, right? And you want to be in a space of receptivity. When you're frazzled and stressed and you're just trying to manage all those different moving parts and pieces and finish everything up last minute, it's not the most receptive space to be in. And so these are the pieces that we want to open up, right? We want to open up room for inside the business. So extending the planning horizon to the execution timeframe is a really critical piece that we can do. That shifts us towards being proactive instead of reactive. I want to encourage you, you don't have to stay stuck in that day-to-day grind and day-to-day hustle, a day-to-day, like just reacting and decision-making. So if what you offer is so beautiful, but your back end feels a little bit messy or it feels like a disaster sometimes, honestly, or you feel like, okay, I'm planning, but I just keep beating myself up because I never really stick with my plans or they don't seem to be working well for me, we see you, we get it. And shifting some of these pieces will make a difference. And this is where I really want to encourage you that you don't have to do this alone. We can support you. We can bring the frameworks in that you need to bridge this gap because you are made for and you are worthy of so much more than this kind of experience inside your business. And we're here to help.
We hope you loved today's episode. If so, would you take a moment to share it with a friend?
If you haven't already, come connect with us human to human at apostolicfruit.com/connect. When you're ready, we'd love to support you more deeply.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you,
and turn his face toward you and give you peace.